Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to training day. Training, rehearsal, repetition, slow motion training, the process. We're putting it all together. Here it is, January 25th. We're going on 4 weeks of the fundamentals of the full swing. We spent 30 minutes a day working on the grip for a week. Then we spent 30 minutes a day working on the stance and posture with still another, since we got our hands on the club, we're still working on the grip, stance and posture. And then last week we spent 30 minutes of slow motion training, the takeaway. Slow motion training, the first part of the swing, slow motion training. And then today we'll be doing the second part of the swing, impact and follow through. And really this is the most crucial part. This is where you hit the ball. We're gonna probably spend 2 weeks on this section alone because there's so many nuances in here that you're gonna want to train over and over and over. Good morning, Bob Perry. What's going on? So before we get into the second part of the swing, I really want to recap the first part of the swing and talk about the plane of the swing. Because really what we're doing is we're swinging on an inclined plane in a circle. Swinging on the inclined plane in a circle. And so you guys want to be able to get more consistent ball striking and a lot more distance. There's two keys that we're going to cover. One is the sequence. And the other is tension. Tension between the upper and the lower body. Good morning, Bob. Good morning, David. So, rehearsal, repetition. Rehearsal, repetition. 30 minutes a day on the grip, 30 minutes a day on the stance and posture, 30 minutes a day on the backswing, slow motion, and 30 minutes a day downswing and follow through. We're going to dive into that stuff right now. So the downswing is initiated by turning the hips and the shoulders and the arms and the hands, and then you multiply that speed 10 times over. So in terms of function, the shoulders, arms, and hands need to be in perfect position in the backswing. Because when you get the correct backswing movements, and we'll talk about the correct backswing movements, bending the right arm. So I'm going to just recap the backswing real quick. Hands, arms, shoulders all move simultaneously, maybe a split second, the hands and the arms and the shoulders, and they get right up here. So we're going to address the plane real quick. Some people come in way up here, some people way back here, and then there's somewhere in between. So if you simply take, for Bob, you'll take your right arm, and for all right-handed golfers, you'll take your left arm and just come straight across the chest this way. Now, if I'm straight across the chest and I take my shoulder turn, I'm on a pretty good freaking plane right there. There's no right or wrong. So if I bring my arm down here and I take a backswing plane, now you're in the Matt Kuchar plane, very flat. I can take my arm right up here, and then up here, now I'm Justin Thomas. So there's no right or wrong, but your body's going to tell you what does 90 degrees across your chest look like. So if I take my lead arm 90 degrees across my chest, here, I get in my golf posture, and I rotate my shoulders back, that's a perfect golf position for me, for my body. So that's the backswing plane. Now Hogan talked about the downswing plane because when you shift, it comes down a little bit and points out towards the target. So the best way to get into a good swing plane for yourself is simply take your lead arm, 90 degrees across your chest, lead arm 90 degrees across my chest, get my golf posture, and then finish my shoulder turn. I don't care what arms are doing. This is not position golf. This is what your body's capable of doing. The plane for the downswing is less steeply inclined and is oriented with the ball quite differently from the backswing plane. So the right shoulder is automatically lowered. So when the golfer is on this correct downswing plane, he has to hit from the inside out. So we're going to cover a lot of that right now as far as what starts the downswing plane. It's the hips. So last week we were just working on slow motion training. Hands, arms, shoulders, hips. And David, we talked about, and Bob, we talked about, you know, you were saying if you went in slow motion, you could feel that shift prior to finishing your backswing, the slower you did the training. So now I've got a little bit of a shift. I've already shifted my weight here. So now it's just turn. And so you're going to have to spend time rehearsing this repetition movement. Get into here and just turn and hold that position for a second. And turn. Now from the side view, now this shaft is right in the slot. The right elbow is connected to my side. It's where it needs to be. I continue rotating my lower body. As you can see, my hips aren't coming off the wall. My butt's still sticking on the wall if there is an imaginary wall there. Rotate. My left hip cheek is really stuck in that wall. I'm in impact. And full finish. To begin the downswing, turn your hips back to the left. There must be enough lateral motion forward to transfer the weight to the left foot. So that lateral motion can be done just driving and turning, or if we'll get back later in the book here, you can actually just start it before you finish your backswing, getting the weight onto the front foot. But it's something you're going to have to practice and train. I can't train it for you. So I want to talk we're going to stay in this area because this is where you're going to be able to get a lot more distance. I weigh 159 pounds, 5'10" and a half, and can bomb at 300 yards because of the correct sequence, the correct muscles used in my body, but most importantly, it's the tension in this mid-range here between the upper and lower body. And if you look at page 91, the turning of the hips is initiated by several sets of muscles which work together. The contracted muscles of the left hip and the muscles along the inside of the left thigh starts to spin the hips around to the left. So this starts to spin the hips around the left. So this leg, these muscles are engaged and activated. They play a huge part in this role. So as I have a stable rear side, everything's stable, I'm using inside muscles, my feet are dug in the ground, I get back here. Now you can see that I can keep this really stationary. Now when I shift, these muscles are all activated, they're going to pull, and these are going to pull, and then this side's going to push. The muscles of the right hip and the muscles of the right thigh, both the inside, the powerful outside thigh muscles start to move the right hip forward. So this side's pulling and this side's pushing. In order for them to do this work, these muscles be stretched, taut with tension that is just waiting for the golfer's signal to release. This tension is built up, and this is how you guys are all going to get more distance. This tension is built up on the backswing by retarding the hips, but rotating the shoulders fully around. So that means this core muscle, my left side core muscle, is activated, and I'm preventing it from the hips from turning as I turn this back. Now I have all this torsion in here, and Hogan talked about imagine that a dress, one end of an elastic strip is fastened to the wall directly behind your left hip. As the shoulders turn, the hips on the backswing, this elastic is stretched with increased tension. And when you start turning the hips to the left, this released tension will snap back to the left with tremendous speed. So for me, I am activating my left side abdomen, hands, arms, shoulders, hips. I'm really firing my quads, my glutes, and this rear trail leg is digging into the ground. That's where I get my stability. So I'm loading up here and got a lot of tension on my trail leg. My left abs are resisting the turning of the hips. The shoulders are pulling everything back. And now I've got this tension here. And this tension, when I get to my 90-degree backswing, I slightly shift. Now this is all I have to do is just turn and fire that hip and release all this tension in here this way. Shoulders, arms, and hands, and the club head just comes firing through. So I practice my grip, I practice my stance and posture, I practice my first part of the swing, the backswing, and then I'm going to get set for my trigger to start the downswing and follow through. So by training this slow motion, it will even force you, and you can rehearse this with repetition, that this is actually how you're going to swing in the golf course, where if I practice in slow motion or slower motion, you're going to have a better timing and rhythm on the golf course. Because what happens in this first part of the downswing, we get up here and we try and fire with the arms and hands and shoulders, and we cut across the ball and make all kinds of mistakes. But if I get up to here and I build up all this tension between my hips and my shoulders, now when I just fire down, and if I fire from the hips and let the arms and shoulders get down to here, then this is where I want to activate my hands. This is where I want to fire. So from here to here, past the ball, this is where I want to attempt and concentrate and try and get more speed, even though after the ball is gone, the club's going to slow down. But you want to try and fire through here, not fire from here, and then dump it all early. You want to get tension, release, right here, and then fire it all through. And obviously the Excalibur drill helps with that. So I'm just doing the slow motion, get to the top, a little bump, and just hold it there to what it feels like. I'm looking in the mirror to what it feels like, bump. That's the first part of the downswing. You can do that for 3 minutes straight. Bump. You know, you do that 10, 15, 20 times in 3 minutes, that's good block practice. And then you get to here, and you come down even further and just feel what it feels like, just to get that movement going first. Hands, arms, shoulders, hips. I've got this tension built up all in here. All these muscles are activated in the trail leg, my O post. And then right here, I'm starting to shift. Now I can simply just turn and fire. So practice this whole tension, or even if you did the sweeping of the dust. And I know we talked about maybe having our inside knees in a little bit. If you just have your legs straight out, just position here straight out, and just activate your feet, your knees, your inner thighs, your outer thighs, your glute, and just activate it and slowly turn it. You'll feel this tension in here. That's the live tension you want to have to get a lot more distance. Live tension in all your muscles. Slow, and a good balance. The movement of the hips is inaugurating a whole chain of actions. Tight hips, the left leg begins to break back. So we got hands, arms, shoulders, hips. My left leg's coming back in the backswing, right? Boom. So if it's coming back in the backswing, I can start the right rotation. Boom. Hips. So even though the hips initiate the downswing, well, you want to make sure you're in the right sequence. If you look at a rocket, if a rocket fires out of sequence, it's going to crash. And so we take our body from the ground up, hands, arms, shoulders, hips. Well, the knees moving, and so is the ankle, and so is the foot. So the weight is shifted out of the ball of the left foot. So for those of you that don't shift your weight as you finish your backswing, as you get here, the weight is driven into the ball of the left foot. Hands, arms, shoulders, hips, knee, foot. So then on the downswing, I'll drive. I got to shift weight laterally. So I'll drive the weight to the ball of the left foot. The knee's going to open up or go towards the target. Then the hips. So you've got to practice that sequence for 30 minutes a day to feel what it feels like and to see what muscles are being activated. Hands, arms, shoulders, hips, knee and foot. So I'll add in this training knee and foot. That knee, as I get here, the knees bend straight back or coming inside, and then I'm going to drive the weight. We talk about down, out, and forward in the swing. We talk about down, out, and forward. Well, when I get back up here, I want to drive the weight to the ball of that front foot. That's when we talk about, the power cube measure pressure points. If I go back, up, so I'm going backwards, I'm going up, and I'm going in. Back, up, my left arm's lifting up, my shoulders, everything's coming in. Okay? Back up and in. Well, then I've got to start down. So I'm going to back up and in. As I drive my weight to the ball of the left foot, I come down on the circle. So you see my club and my arm, it's rotating on a circle plane, right? It's coming down. It's coming down. So just look at the club and you see the visual circle, right? So I want to make sure that we come down, but let's drive our weight down to the ball of the left foot or our lead foot, down, and then we know we're going to go out and we're going to go forward. Well, since I'm back, I've got to come out. But most people, when they start downswing, they go out first and then down, and that's that cut across move. So it's going to take 30 minutes a day for the next 3 weeks to really ingrain and work on this downswing. That's why it's called the downswing. It's not called the outswing. Back up and in, down. And so you can simply just imagine the Liberty Bell with a rope and you're just pulling straight down. That's what you want to do with your left hand when you get in the backswing. Just gonna pull down. So I'm standing straight up, right? But if I pull down, look how that just, if I pull straight down, centrifugal force is going to just bring it right down to where the ball would be at the low point. So I'll stand straight up here, and I'm just going to pull down. Watch what happens to the swing in my body. So if you can train yourself, even just standing straight up, what happens when you pull down? If I pull straight down, there's no way I can cut across the ball. No way. So back up and in, down. Since I'm on an inclined plane, and when I come down, it's got to go out and it's got to go forward. So now if I get my golf posture and I come straight back and I just pull straight down, I'm not even looking at the ball. Not even looking at the ball. So let me just do this here real quick. So let's see what happens if I put the ball there. It's the bottom of my swing arc. And I just swing up and look back here and pull straight down. So the goal is to pull straight down. That's going to help you start the downswing. Even though the hips are leading it, consciously, hips are leading it, and I can train my arms to pull straight down. You practice that move a few times, just pull straight down. Good morning, John. Good morning, James, Dave, Todd, and Dennis, Bob. The surest way to wreck this remarkable machinery is to start the downswing with the hands instead of the hips. Nearly all poor players do. So the hips, so we're going to go back again. Hands, arms, shoulders, hips. Now right now, since I'm resisting with my left abdomen, resisting with all my muscles that are activated, I'm resisting this hip from turning back. I don't need my hips to go back as far as my shoulders. I'm resisting these hips from turning back. Now I have this torsion here. With that torsion and tension, I just have to drive my weight to the ball of the left foot, open my knee, open my hips. Yes, the hips are going to initiate the swing. That's what we talked about. But really, the knee, feet, and hips initiate the swing. Because I'm driving my weight to the ball of the left foot, and the knee and the hips are moving simultaneously. So if you can see this whole piece from the foot, the knee, and the hips, boom. That whole movement's there and start the downswing. Then I continue, then I come down. And as I start the downswing, since I have this structure, this magical device, this structure, this power package, this is where the power is, right in here, the power package, the torso, the shoulders, the arms, this triangle. I keep the elbows glued and everything tucked to my chest. And when I start down, it brings this whole power package into play, and then I continue firing, and this is where you fire with the hands. But there's no manipulation of flipping. The main thing for the novice or the average golfer is to keep any conscious hand action out of his swing. The correct swing is founded on chain action, and if you use the hands when you shouldn't, you prevent this chain action. So when we get up here, we're trying to flip it, we get some scooping, we get some casting. These hands are clamps. So we worked on pressure point number 2. You worked on the grip for the last 3 weeks. Face is square or however I want it, whether it's slightly open or closed, whether I'm playing a fade or a draw. Now my hands are on there perfectly. Hands aren't doing anything other than until I get down to here. When the hands get down to here, I really want to fire them through the ball. You know, and what happens is we get to the point where we fire it and we go that way. That's why we still get a cut across movement. This goes back to the down and out. So we want to swing out. We want to swing out that way. And because when we take this club, and if I just swing forward, the ball is going left because of how the club face is designed. Now if I swing out, look where the ball went, straight. So we've got to come down first, and then out, and then forward. So when Hogan talked about that downswing plane, if the white line is the backswing plane, the downswing plane is slightly out, and it's slightly raised off the ground. What happens is, you know, when we get to here and we shift, that forces the left shoulder in the perfect position to come from the inside out. It also forces the shoulder to rise up a little bit, and that's why this inclined plane will be raised off the ground a little bit versus where you are addressing the backswing. So I have these two lines up here. This is the target line, and this is visually, you can train just like this to have a stick pointed out, because we need to go out. First is down, and then out, and then forward. So visually, I want to take and swing my hands and shoulders out that way. This whole power package, this left shoulder. So if I take the left shoulder and I push down, and then when I shift my weight, that left shoulder is not only coming up, but it's also going out that way a little bit. And so visually, I can take the shoulder line, and then I get back here, and then I just swing that shoulder line across this warm stick. So I'll swing it backwards on the white stick, and then when I make my shift, I'll swing it down the orange. So by understanding the geometry of the golf swing, if I just take this square face and I go like that, the ball goes left. And since the club face is designed that way, if I take my orange line and I swing out towards that orange line, it's going to make the ball go straight. Any questions so far? Let me scroll up here. Let's see here. After you have initiated the downswing with the hips, you only want to think of one thing: hitting the ball. So after I initiate the downswing, and so I train visually a lot. Meaning I have a square stance in alignment with my ball, and visually I'm going to take my lead shoulder. So as I start to downswing my hips, that keeps my butt against the wall. So you guys can do that butt against the wall drill to make sure that, yes, I'm driving my weight to the ball, my left foot, but by the time I get here, the weight's shifting to my rear heel. You notice my left butt cheek is staying against that wall, and I'm not losing posture or losing power. So I'm lowering everything up to get up to here. And I got my feet really involved. Balls, my feet play a big role in what I'm doing. And so I can actually get, with my shoes on, I can try and dig the balls of my feet in the ground. Now I got a stable base. I start the downswing, and then I'm just thinking about smacking the crap out of that ball. And the better timing and tempo I have, because anytime that I make a mistake, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do the same thing, women, is we get up to a point here and we try and go real fast here. And if you can just train yourself to just get a good transition here and then go fast here. I think of only two things: starting the hips back and then hitting just as hard as I can with the upper part of my body, my arms and my hands, in that order. Hands, arms, shoulders, hips. So let's go back to the swing plane again. A simple technique is if I keep my arm down here, I'm going to have a very flat shoulder plane. Flat plane. There it is. If I take my arm up here, I'm going to have a very steep plane. Justin Thomas, Jim Furyk, DJ. So if you take your lead arm and you just wrap it right across your chest, get in your golf posture, make your shoulder turn, you'll be on a perfect plane. It's what your body's capable of doing. So if you have some limitations in your shoulders, we're going to be covering the upper part of the body stretching next Thursday. So if you spent the last 7 days, 30 minutes a day working on your backswing, this should be all second nature to you now. And if it's not, do it again this week, and then do it again next week at the same time that you're starting your downswing plane. Second part of the swing. And so some subtleties you want to be careful of. If you're the type that starts the downswing before you finish your backswing like I do, be careful that you don't go too much, because then you're going to get out of sequence and you're going to get out of balance. The average golfer has the requisite physical ability to use the club. Same methods, fundamentals of all golfers. So Hogan talked about what does the right arm do. He wishes he had 3 right arms. Simply, if I bend the right arm, this is power accumulator number 1. It's in position right there. So if I just bend the right arm, and I keep the left arm straight, right? So when you start the downswing, this arm pulls down, everything's connected. I've got the shaft right where it's supposed to be. So this right forearm, left forearm for left-handed golfers. How many times out of 1,000 can you do this? Now it's going to get away from us on the backswing, but if I shift my weight and I start down first with my hips, and you pull this straight down, it gets connected there, and then you fire, and Hogan talked about firing this. Just fire here. Now a lot of us that cut across the ball or pull the ball end up doing this. So grab a tennis ball, grab a basketball, and remember, down and out and forward, attempt, what I have 8 feet here, attempt to take the ball and throw it out there. That way. And if you want to really work on coming from the inside out, and get rid of your slice. You get up to here, and come down, throw the ball out there, and practice that. And then, so you practice just like we have a flat plane. I can come here, that's pretty flat. I come here, that's pretty steep. Or I come in right here. You can practice all variations until you get used to what you're going to do. Because I can hit the ball with all three planes. Because it's the same movement down. I can hit the ball really well with a flat plane. I've done it for years. So you can hit the ball with either all the planes you want, because it's all about starting with the downswing here and just pulling straight down. I would work on this drill here, just to pull straight down, look in the mirror, and just pull down. Just pull down. Pull down. And if you pull down, your hips will start to move automatically. So you can start it with the hips, you can start with the pull down movement. Hogan talked about starting with the downswing with the hips, but you can train in the winter right now, just getting your backswing, whether it's a flat plane or a steep plane or whatever plane you're on. Your plane should be right across your chest, and then you're up here, and just pull down. Weights up, full shoulder turn, finish and follow through. Hit the ball as hard as you can with both hands. So if we talk about power accumulator number 2, where we cock this wrist and uncock it, I cock it and get power, and I can hammer down to release that power. If I take the thumb and I push down the shaft, that releases this, and if I just go like that, that's that forward bend. I'm not manipulating the clubs and turning anything over. I'm just getting here, and I'm cocking the wrist, and I'm uncocking it on this plane of my left arm. And I have pressure point number 3, the index of the right finger, the trail finger, and it's pressed on the side of the shaft. I'm not turning it over, so I have this pressure, this nice alignment here, and then the other hand here. Now I'm at impact, and then I continue to drive with number 3 pressure point down the line. So remember, we have down, out, and forward. I'm going down the line, forward. So if I have everything where it's supposed to be, my hands are ahead of the ball at impact, and I'm swinging down and forward, look where the ball starts, right where it's supposed to be. So I would even, just for your brain, because your eyes don't see, your brain sees, and sometimes you might be deceived with your eyes. So set up to the ball and just try and take it straight down the line. You'll notice that it goes to the left. So get used to what the actual club face does to the ball. You must hit as hard with the left as with the right. So a lot of times you might see yourself, oh, I hit a great swing, and the ball tails off to the right for right-handed golfers. Well, that's probably because you didn't hit with your left hand, and what that means, you release it, you cock number 2, and you release number 2, and you make sure that you just turn. So I'm not turning the club face or flipping the club face. What I'm doing is I have this power package, this structure, and I'm continually rotating. So if I go like this, continue to rotate, it's perfect. And then what happens, the momentum is going to carry it to where it continues to roll over. So we turn back and we roll through. But I'm not flipping, it's just natural body movement, turn back and through. So make sure that you fire through with the left hand as much as the right hand. And you constantly have to train you know, all right. So on that swing there, I made sure that I was concentrating on what the left wrist was doing, left hand was doing. I was really making sure that when I cocked it, I was releasing it. I'm releasing it down, and the momentum is going to carry it out and forward. So everything is back up and in, down, out, and forward. We start back with our hands, arms, shoulders, hips, knee. We start down with the knee, hips, shoulders, arms, and hands. Everything is reversed. And just like I'm going back, up, and in, I've got to go down, out, and forward. Any questions? We having fun yet? So, for people who just keep joining late and early and who haven't seen the other lessons, every year since 1991, beginning of the year, I go through Ben Hogan's 5 fundamentals. They are fundamentals. It's fundamentally important to have a perfect grip on the club, because when you can control the club shaft, the club head, and the club face, you can control the ball. So I control the face with my left hand. I control the club head with my right index finger. I can control the club head anywhere throughout the swing with my right index finger. And I control the shaft plane with my left arm. Arm straight across here. 90 degrees. I get bent. Take my backswing. I'm on plane. Now, where we lose control of the plane, the shaft, is swing wreckers, hands and arms starting down first. So we're going out, we're going out. We need to come down. So if you look at the shaft, it's on a perfect inclined plane with my left arm. It needs to stay on there as long as possible, and that happens by coming down. My shoulder fires up a little bit, comes from the inside out. We're swinging in a circle on an inclined plane. At impact, the back of the left hand faces towards the target. The wrist bone is definitely raised. Back of the left hand is at the target, the wrist bone is definitely raised. Why is it raised? Because I got a full extension of my arc. So here, this is at address. We've got power accumulator number 2. We cock it. You can cock it naturally in the swing. And as I get down here, I get a full extension. You see this arch here, here. So I can sit here at impact fix, and I can hold this position for 2 minutes to feel what it feels like, feel where the weight is on my feet. I can also, from here, I can do the Excalibur drill. I do these drills because they work. I have a full past 90-degree hip turn. My shoulder, look how far my shoulders are. I'm 50 years young. Stretching, flexibility, stretching, flexibility. So for you guys that want to get more power and more consistency, 2 key aspects. Sequence, hands, arms, shoulders, hips, knee. Knee and hips. Shoulders, arms, hands. That's the sequence. The tension between the upper and lower body in this section here. If you go to the image, I think it was on page 91, where you have this elastic band attached to the wall and my hip bone, and as I turn back this way, there's tension there, just like when you tighten a lug nut on a car tire. That tension is stored up here, and as I release that hip, there's a lot of tension here and that power that just Every good golfer supinates his left wrist. It's a must. You get the feeling that he is really lashing the ball with the back of his left hand. Lashing the ball with the back of his left hand. So from a side view, I'm coming in here, and this is what happens at impact. I'm lashing, I'm taking this top thumb, and it's naturally just gonna straighten right out there. Get a bag. Get a bag. Bow. We can turn 45 degrees to right and bow. I can place my arm right here. And I can train this arm. I'm not swinging. I'm training my arm and I'm building muscle in my wrist, my thumb. And I'm rolling it and I'm arching it. Rolling it, arching it. But this, you can just push down, down, and then it's going to bow a little bit because you're coming in here. And then this would naturally turn over. It's still in front of my chest. I'm not doing any manipulation like this. I'm not getting here and going like this. That doesn't stay in alignment with my chest. I'm just taking my chest and naturally turning with it. At impact, the right arm is still bent slightly. At impact, the right arm is still bent slightly. Looks bent to me. At impact, the right arm is still bent slightly. That's where it's straight. That straight should be down, out, and forward. So I have my alignment rods here. I've got my out angle. I always want to visually have something that I can go out. You can get a piece of grass up here. You can get a tee that you can train with. You can even put let me grab a tee here. I can even put a tee 45 degrees or whatever angle I'm training or practicing on this orange line. I can put a tee 3 inches above in front of that ball. I'm going to get on my alignment here, but visually I'm going to try and take my club and swing at that tee through this ball. So from the 430 line through the ball towards that tee. And that's going to help me train going down and then out. Forward will take care of itself by making sure that I fire my hands through there. That was smoked. So visually use some training aids like a tee. You typically want to come through the 430 line. So this is 3 o'clock. That's 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. 4:30 would visually be somewhere between 3 o'clock in the back of the ball and 6 o'clock in the ball. And I visually want to try and hit that 4:30 line. And that's the same thing I was doing with this bag, is I was simply, I can turn to the right and bow. I can take my right arm and just, I'm coming in from the 4:30 line on a clock, so I can come and hit the ball on the 4:30 line through the ball, which is outwards, and it's out. So we're coming down, we're going out, and we're going forward. At that point, just beyond impact, where both arms are straight and extended, the club head reaches its maximum speed. The hips lead the shoulders all the way down. The hips lead the shoulders all the way in the down swing. The shoulders finally catch up with the hips at the end of the swing. As regard to the left leg, most golfers think it should be straight. That's not correct. If you keep your legs straight, you prohibit your hips from making their full turn. So my leg's not straight, my leg's definitely bent, and it allows me to get that full hip turn. So, to help with the follow through, our Trussio Excalibur, that's our friend. So I get the impact fixed, and I just practice Excalibur. You can do Excalibur for 10 minutes a day. Number one, you'd be exhausted. Number two, you'd have some good cardiovascular conditioning. Number three, it would really help with your balance and stability, and you finish in the swing, as most golfers dump the energy right there. Most golfers start from down here, dump the energy right there, and this is their swing. You want to get up here, start here, then drive the energy. Don't dump the energy down here. Don't do this real quick. Let's get down here, and then boom, you stop. You want to get down here, and then you want to fire and drive forward. Down, out, and forward. Down, out, and forward. Excalibur drill, Excalibur drill. Devote perhaps a half hour daily to the hip turn and the hip through movements. Do not be afraid to swing too hard. Devote perhaps a half hour daily to the hip turn and the hip through movement. The hip turn, the hip through movement. The hip turn and the hip through movement. We're hitting through with the club. We're throwing everything down that line. You want to hit through. Go in your backyard when no one's around and take the club and throw it. Throw it that way, not that way. Throw it down the line, down the line. Visually, I have my hands, arms, shoulders, hips, and visually, I want to make sure that I take my club head and direct it at the 430 line through the ball at an aim point. There's an aim point. So, how do we control the club ball? If you control the club shaft, the club face, and the club head, you can control the ball. So I'm going to control the club face with my left hand by having a perfect grip. And that perfect grip is it closed, is it square, or is it open? Depending on the type of shot that you're going to play or the inconsistency play. Whether it's a fade, a slight draw, or a straight shot. I'm going to control the club head with this index finger with the trail hand. I'm going to direct it right through the ball. I control the club head with that index finger. And I'm going to control the plane with, for me, my left arm. I can simply sit here 2 minutes a day, take my arm across here, squat down, and turn. Arm right across my chest, squat down, and turn. I'm on a perfect plane. I can simply drive my weight to the front of my foot and turn, or you can take, as you finish your backswing, you can shift already and just turn. So there's two ways to start the downswing. One, get back here, I want to drive my weight to the ball of my foot. I got to drive my weight to the ball of the foot, the hips, and that's done simultaneously. So I'm driving and turning my hips, I'm driving and turning my hips, I'm driving and turning my hips. So this whole foot, knee, and hip combination, get familiar with it, dance with it, learn what it does, feel the movement. The weight is going to the ball of my left foot. My hips are turning, and everything's coming behind. I'm tired. Anybody have any questions? We're gonna review a lot of this next week. Monday's training is not going to be Monday. We're going to be outside on Tuesday on the putting surface, doing some more training on reading greens, hitting your lines, and controlling your distance. I believe it's scheduled for 12:30 on Tuesday. You'll be able to catch the replay, or you can watch us live. So let me just recap why I'm doing this, why you guys are doing this. If you look at your scorecard, some of you come in making 35 putts, 38 putts, we can shave a bunch of strokes there. But if you look at 72 strokes, you got 36 long game and 36 putts, is a 72 on the scorecard. A lot of us miss the greens, whatever it may be. Everybody on this call, on this training, needs to get back into session 2 and go through the training over and over on your finesse wedges. I can almost guarantee that every single person on here can shave 10 to 12 strokes off their scorecard consistently if you master the finesse wedge swing. Now we just covered the full swing. It all starts down with the hips. Okay? Finesse wedge is totally different. We're going to get in our right stance. The training's in there, how you get your stance. Where the weight's supposed to be, where the ball's supposed to be, where the energy's supposed to be. Backswing is start up the plane, toe up. Now, if you haven't done this 2 minutes a day for at least 10 days, that's why you haven't dropped any strokes. We're rehearsing. We're doing repetition until it becomes a whole new motor pattern. I can do this in my sleep, this movement right here, back, up, and in. Back, up, and in. Up the plane, toe up. Now that's the backswing. So now I get my energy forward. I have the laser beam in front. I put the club right where the ball's supposed to be. Back, up, and in. What starts down first? The club head. The club head. The club head. Then the arms and chest. And then the hips. Slow motion training. So I'm not getting here and I'm not moving this. You go ahead and move this, and you're going to get way out of balance, and you're going to top the freaking ball. It's going to go 30 yards off the green, or you're going to scull it 30 yards off the green, or you're going to chunk it. So take some time in a mirror, just practicing up the plane, toe up. Where's the weight? I can feel the weight here. Most of my weight's on my front foot, but I can feel the weight loading in my glute. Okay, now what am I going to do? I'm going to start down, and I'm just trying to drop the club. At the same time, I'm going to let everything follow through. So train yourself over, and over to master this movement. That way when you're on the practice facility doing your trainings, when you're actually hitting the ball, you can go through your process on the practice facility, take your 17-yard chip shot, look at the target, get alignment into it, and then execute it. And then measure the feedback. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? So you've got to train, number one, the new motor skill, where the weight's supposed to be, the right movement. What starts first is the club head, then the arms and the chest, and then the hips. And you practice this indoors without a ball until you understand the movement. And that way when you get on the course and you practice this on the practice facility to where you know that you're, so now this is where visually the aim point comes in. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to bring my number 3 pressure point, the right, I can sense the club head with that number 3 pressure point index finger, and I can take that and direct it at the 430 line through the ball, and if I just look at that spot, I can hit it. As always, guys, get on my calendar. You need support, you need help, let's have some fun. Let's get on a live Zoom call. When you get on my calendar, be prepared to talk about your wins, what's working well, what's not working well, where you need support most, and let's put together a plan of where you can get that. Everything is laid out step by step of what you need to do. Reading the greens, hitting your line, controlling your distance, mashing the finesse sequence, bunkers, the full game. We're doing a lot of the full game training, the distance wedges, having the known numbers, core strategy, expectation management, emotions, and then just visualize this new identity of who you are already. Just start to be and live and act that person. I'll see you guys on Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern time. We're going to do some putting stuff. Talk to you soon. Make sure there's no questions. Oh, there are. How many times out of 1,000 can you do this? Exactly, Tom. I mean, I love that because this, and you might not be aware, but this is power accumulator number 1. And as I just turn the wrist back, it's just a natural movement. Hey, what's going on, Tom? Nice to meet you. I'm shaking my hands, right? So this, how many times out of 1,000 can I do this? Well, we're not playing golf here. We're actually swinging up here. So we've got to make sure that it comes straight down first. And you can do this whole, just pull down. When I pull down, look what, my hips move automatically. Let's see what, I like the slow motion sequencing. Feeling tension in the hips and using to initiate the downswing half speed start my arms in the correct plane. Also, delaying fire in the hands fits perfectly with the calorie drill. I feel like I'm experiencing these correct feelings. This is cool, Bob. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, so guys, this book is my Bible. Yes, I have unlimited wealth of knowledge in my head from studying for 20-something years and working with some great coaches around the world. But this is how you all can build a correct, powerful, repeating swing just by spending 30 minutes on your fucking grip. And then your stance and posture, and then the first part of the swing, and then the downswing, and you stack on, stack on, stack on. And then in 8 weeks, now you've got a repeatable process. Now we go out and train how to make shots, not how to make a golf swing, okay? I promise you, if you take care of this book, it will take care of you and you continue doing the training. Remember, you can easily shave 12 to 15 strokes minimum just mastering the bunker, the finesse wedges, and putting. 12 to 15 strokes minimum just in the first month of training in here. We'll take care of the full game and the core strategy. We're going to get your body, you know, physically capable of handling the swing. Everybody on this training, go back through week 1, 2, and 3, and 4, the first month of training, putting, finesse wedges, and bunker. Go back and do that again and again and again. Even if you're in the snow, just go watch the training and get something and practice indoors. I can practice a bunker shot without a bunker. I can practice a bunker shot without a bunker. I can get down here and feel what it feels like. I can put where a ball would be, and I can start the club head first, and I can just practice this drill starting down first, have my chest and arms go through, and this is still the finesse sequence. The finesse sequence is the bunker sequence. And I can just practice this where I can go, oh, that was fast, or I can just nice and easy glide through the sand. I can hold this position. You can practice this for 5 minutes a day. You can practice this for 5 minutes a day. And then when you get out into the sand, you practice that for 5 minutes and see what you're doing through the sand, put some balls there and be like, oh, okay, it does work. So everybody, let's set our goals. Go into the group. Here it is, January 25th. I want everyone to post what their goals are by April 1st. You guys have a great week. I'll see you Tuesday.